Welcome to this Tuesday tutorial. My name's Bob Buckley. Now, how do you switch off and reset? What are all the ways that you look after yourself and avoid burnout? Whether that's at work or at home, how do you really take good care of yourself? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. It's all about switching off and resetting. So what you've got here in this little button is a visual reminder, a bit of a pertinent prompt to help us to switch off and hit that reset button. So switching off, resetting, I believe it's a real leadership skill. So no matter where you are within an organisation, it's a real skill that not only can be learned, but can also be developed and improved. It's also a life skill as well. You're looking after yourself, you're looking after colleagues, you're also looking after your family and friends. Not only by taking good care of yourself, but also by taking good care of others as well. So what's the secret? Well, let's get to it. It's about working hard, recovering hard, and then repeating that. And the repeat is really key. So work hard, recover hard, and repeat. And it's what I consider a mantra for all levels of leadership. Now, no matter whether you're senior, chief exec, whether you're a middle manager or a frontline operator, frontline manager, the ability to switch off and reset is a real key skill. Let's say can be learned. But all it takes is this kind of work-life balance. And there's lots of books been written, podcasts, lots of people talk about this work-life balance. And it all sounds so easy. But is it? I know I struggle with it. And this is a video I wanted to do last week. But unfortunately, my body gave up and bang, a cold sore came out. That was a sign for me that my work-life balance was out of kilter last week. So let's go into kind of what does a work-life balance look like for you? Well, here we've got a few examples of how you can define your work-life balance, and it's different for everybody. So in the top line there, the top graph, it's a fairly kind of predictable kind of curve, fairly predictable your work-life balance. You know where you are on any kind of given day, time of the day, day of the month. And you're always coming back to that nice kind of sinusoidal curve. In the middle example, it's a bit more haphazard. You may have situations at work that cause you to work longer hours one day, perhaps shorter hours the other. You've got family, you've got children. Life gets in the way. But what's important here is you still come back to kind of an average in the middle. So you come back to that norm. And take that to another level, you can have an even more extreme work life. But again, the key is to always come back to that kind of work life. You've worked hard, but you're able to recover equally hard and you're able to repeat that. So there's a few examples there about how you can define your own work-life balance. All those equally plausible, they've all got their own merits. But one of the ones you want to avoid is this one here. And it's where you experience what they call burnout, and recovering from burnout can be really hard. So you've gone along here and you've kind of worked hard, played hard, you've been able to reset, but then you take it to an extreme and you've kind of dropped down. Now, if you can recover from a particular setback, like we've got here, then great, you can get back to kind of normal. But sometimes, and it happens in too many instances, where people do experience burnout and recovery isn't guaranteed. And that's what we've got there. Personally, I've had experiences where typically once a year, my body kind of gives up, but I'm able to recover back to kind of where I should be. Unfortunately, I've worked with colleagues in the past, one in particular colleague, and he experienced burnout and he was unable to recover. Sadly for him, he was a shadow of his former self. So it's out there, it's real, it does happen to people. So you really need to look after yourself and those around you. So to avoid burnout then, I thought I'd put a few notes on here that can really kind of help. Burnout, number one there, it affects leaders at all levels. So it doesn't matter whether you're the chief exec, whether you're a middle manager, with lots of time pressures, stresses, or even a new employee. It's not just about the ones we read about in the press. It happens at leaders at every level. Some of the things you notice there, you have a slow deterioration in performance. It generally just doesn't happen overnight. It's a slow, it's like gradually, then suddenly. You get this kind of feeling of powerlessness of change. I hope that's the word, powerlessness of change. So you almost feel as though you're out of control and you're unable to control things. You may have a lack of support from your leader, your line leaders, from those around you. They may not notice it. You may feel as though you're working increasingly long hours. You're putting in extra work. That's a sure sign that you're going to have that burnout. Certainly, kind of one of my colleagues in the past, he was working all night, very little sleep, and he was very much boastful about it at the time. But 6 months after this happened, he was unable to recover. So key thing there: look after yourself. Number 6, physical health and stress recovery periods are vitally important. So no matter whether you're kind of exercising or kind of those stress recovery, so taking a week off, 2 weeks off, those extended periods of recovery, we get given holidays for a reason. They're stress recovery periods, really important. And then the last one there, as a leader, behaviour breeds behaviour. So if you're looking after yourself, then the chances are those around you will look up to you and they'll start looking after themselves. If you're going down the burnout route and you're not you're switching off and you're unable to reset, then the chances are other people around you will be following in your footsteps. So behaviour breeds behaviour. Some of the consequences of not being able to switch off, well, you're prone to more setbacks, you become more irritable, your decision making is impaired. So it's really hard to kind of make decisions, or you make snap decisions or poor judgments. Your performance deteriorates. When you go down kind of the burnout route, it does take longer to recover. So the more you go down that route, it takes longer to come back. And the longer hours you put in, you're actually becoming less productive. So quite a few things there to look out for in yourself and also those around you. So how do you actually switch off then and reset? Well, here are a few ways, and I'm sure you can add plenty more to this list. But they're all a useful reminder. So from the top there, set some boundaries for yourself, for your work, for home. Set some real boundaries, whether it's your environment or kind of time of day. Really kind of be strict with yourself there. Find a time and place to actually switch off, and whether that's down the gym, whether it's out exercising, outdoors. Find a place as well, somewhere that you can go and actually properly switch off and reset. Find an activity, and I've got their opposite skills. So if you're in an active role, day to day, then you may want to find something that's perhaps less active to actually switch off. If you're in a relatively sedentary role, then you may want to do something that's a lot more active to actually switch off. So try and find something that's opposite to what you would normally do day to day. You can run a relaxing bath, read a book, play some music, listen to some tunes. They're things that I always do. Not the bath though, I don't have a bathtub. You can disconnect from those digital devices. That's a key way. Download your thoughts. So whatever's going on in your head, get yourself a bullet journal, write it down. Just offload those thoughts. And take longer if needed. So if you're doing a particular activity and you're still kind of stressed to the hilt, then take longer. Do something about it. Take longer. Now, in our leadership development program, The Essential Scholar, we've got 2 lessons that are fairly similar. We've got one which is called Disrupt Your Thinking with that alarm clock, and then this one here, which is all about switching off and reset, hitting that reset button. They're similar but different. The alarm clock, which is Disrupt Your Thinking, is all about switching off to avoid perfection paralysis. So we've got a whole chapter all about how do you actually combat perfection paralysis, and one of the ways is to switch off, disrupt your thinking, do something which is typically the length of a brew. So for 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, do something to kind of distract your thinking, and that will help you avoid perfection paralysis. This one, which is actually lesson 72 in our leadership development program, you need to look after yourself to avoid. It's all about avoiding setbacks or avoiding future setbacks. And typically it's longer than a brew. So it's longer than 10 minutes. It could be an hour, 2 hours. It could be half a day. It's whatever works, whatever works for you. So 2 lessons there. They're all about trying to switch off, but trying to achieve 2 different things. How do they fit into our leadership development program? Well, they're just 2 lessons of 84 tools and techniques that we do cover. We talk about the 7 essential skills of modern leadership. And what you'll see here are those little icons grouped in 7 little blocks. And it's all about inspiring leadership at every level. If you're interested in more, then just click around on our website, 12scholars.com, and look for the Essential Scholar. So what are the key points then from today's tutorial? Well, you need to look after yourself. That's the kind of the first thing. Look after yourself and look after those around you. Really important for any leader at any level. You need to keep your batteries fully charged wherever possible. Spot the early signs of burnout. Spot them in yourself. Spot them in others as well. Set some boundaries. Find your happy place. And what works for one person may not work for somebody else. So you need to really kind of find out what works for you. And then the bottom there, I've got the ability to switch off and reset. I believe will be an essential leadership skill in the future. As becoming more digital and more kind of switched on your online, the ability to actually switch off and reset and then make clearer, better decisions will be an absolute key skill for any leader going forwards. So the action step then, and every Tuesday tutorial has a little kind of action step, and it's this yellow slide. 2 things which could really help you. The first thing is ask yourself, how do you switch off and reset? So think about that. What works for you? How do you actually switch off and reset? Assuming you can. The second one then is, how can you improve that? So if you're doing it, going great, how do you actually improve that? If you're unable to do that, then kind of watch this video again. Reach out to me if you want any other kind of top tips, or put some comments in the comments below, and I'll get back to you. Once you've done them, make it so. Make it happen. And that's it. That's your Tuesday tutorial. My name's been Bob Buckley. I'm from 12 Scholars. It's all about leadership and inspiring leadership at every level. If you want to know any more information, click around on our website. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.